Our economy is fueled by dynamic workplaces where the impossible becomes possible, where individuals reach their full potential. SHRM impacts the lives of 115 million workers and their families every day. And together, we can build a world of work that works for all. That is our vision: to advocate for better policies, elevate human resources, and develop stronger managers. Still, the workplace needs work. By creating better workplaces, we are truly creating a better world. One person can cause an effect. One person in HR can challenge outdated hiring practices, champion modern benefits, advocate for pay equity, and turn jobs into careers. HR empowers others to not only dream of change, but to create it. The actions of a few affect the lives of many. Join SHRM today to cause the effect you wish to see in the workplace.
Our folks here have over 20 plus years experience. We provide two main areas: Express Requests, which is a compilation of all various topics. You can actually save a lot of time by asking one of our advisors to do some research for you, to bounce off an idea, to find out latest current employer practices.
We talk about every topic imaginable under the umbrella of human resources. Among the most popular would be the Family and Medical Leave Act, the exemption status, questions about the salary basis. The questions go on and on. We could talk about many more of them. And if you want to do that, don't forget one of the prime benefits of being a SHRM member, the HR Knowledge Center.
Hello and welcome to the second annual Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. I'm Guillermo Correa, Managing Director of SHRM Labs, SHRM's Workplace Innovation Lab and Venture Capital Arm. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And a very special thanks to SHRM Atlanta and HR Tampa, our co-hosts for this segment of the competition. So for right now, please help me in welcoming to the stage Jason Klein, CEO of SHRM Atlanta, as well as Chris Cavalier, President of HR Tampa, for some words they'd like to share. And first, let's turn it over to Jason. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Guillermo, and thank you all for either participating in or attending this competition. We are thrilled to be co-hosting this event with SHRM Labs. SHRM Atlanta is the fifth association I've worked for, and at each one, we worked each day to find solutions to our members' problems. This is exactly what these 7 teams are doing today, identifying problems and coming up with a solution. Everyone is facing a lack of resources, whether that is time, money, or something else. And I couldn't be more proud to be part of an organization that seeks out opportunities and challenges those to find solutions. I commend you for what you've already done and what you've already accomplished to get this far, and I wish you all the best of luck. If you are an HR professional in the Atlanta metro area, SHRM Atlanta would like to be a resource for you. We have our one-day conference, Real HR Symposium, coming up on March 2nd, and we would love to see you there. Visit shrmatlanta.org for more information. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jason. And Chris, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Guillermo. And first and foremost, thank you to SHRM Labs for asking HR Tampa to come back this year to co-host along with SHRM Atlanta this awesome competition. I had an opportunity to judge this competition last year. I absolutely love it. I am excited to see the very passionate and creative ideas that I'm sure we're going to be hearing in a few minutes here. I would be remiss if I didn't tell everybody how awesome HR Tampa is. I am the current president of HR Tampa, and I absolutely love it. If you are an HR professional and you are in the Tampa area and you are not for some reason already a member of HR Tampa, now is the time to do it. We are coming out of the COVID era stronger than ever before. We've got somewhere around 500 or so members, depending on the time of the year that you ask us. We provide more than just credits and education, and we provide those things in spades. We provide somewhere between 20 to 40 credits throughout the year. We have very, very great speakers that present every single month throughout the year. But on top of that, we've got great programming, great creative programming. Like we've got an HR Department of One group that we are rolling out this year. We've got a book club, member mixers, and most importantly, everybody, please mark your calendars. October 7th is our annual conference. We are back in person this year. We usually attract over 800 attendees, and we're hoping to do that again this year. I am very excited to be judging again, and let's get rolling.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Chris, and great to have you back. And we'll be seeing you in a couple of minutes here. All right. Given the state of our workplaces in the world today, this year's competition continues to be just as timely as last year's. Remote work, the skill shortage, mental health, and the great resignation are driving the workplace to new heights of innovation. And innovation is the key reason why SHRM launched this competition. The Better Workplaces Challenge Cup is a pitch competition to find the innovators that are solving the most critical workplace challenges. Before you hear from an incredible group of startups and their solutions to these challenges, we have a guest speaker for today's event. As you listen to his presentation, if you have any questions, please submit them through the chat function, and we will cover them at the end of the presentation. Also, please note that this event qualifies for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification, and we will be providing the code at the end of the event. But for now, please help me in welcoming to the stage one of our very own, a dear friend of mine, Andrew Morton, SHRM's Director of Certification Relations, for a presentation, a very timely presentation, if you ask me, titled Working from Home and Homing from Work. So Andrew, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the BWCC, and great to have you with us this afternoon. All yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Guillermo. And thank you to both SHRM Atlanta and SHRM and HR Tampa, because, I spent a few years in the military, as most English majors are apt to do. I joined the Army in 1991. It's a bit of self-deprecation. I spent about 2 decades in the military, and one of the things that I took away from it, along the many cultural lessons I learned, was how important things are at the grassroots level. And while the analogy may be lost on some, I can't help but think all the chapters that SHRM has, the 500 and some odd chapters that SHRM has, and the over 300,000 members, that's the grassroots of our human resources profession, the same way that the organizations throughout the United States military are the grassroots of really what it is that we had in terms of our all-volunteer force. And this all-volunteer force of volunteers through Tampa, through SHRM Atlanta, through all the other chapters, it's really humbling to see all that altruistic work, all that work in support of a profession, and all that work in support of the millions of employees that our members really represent and serve. So it's a service profession. HR is truly a service profession. I didn't realize the extent of it until I came into my relationship with SHRM back in 2014 as I transitioned from the military. But what I would say is that often we hear, thank you for your service, as U.S. military veterans. And what I would say is thank you for your service as HR professionals across every industry, across all organizations and shapes and sizes, for what you do every single day. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. Guillermo said something about innovation being the mother of necessity, or I should say, ultimately, that is a very true statement. And many of the innovative things that you all are here to judge today and present today are byproducts of what's going on in our workforce right now and what's going on with our employees across that workforce. And one of the things I'd like to talk a little bit about today is the necessity of mental health. It's a topic that I'm very passionate about. I have a first-person journey through the mental health challenge. I can tell you right now that my experience, whether it's my combat-related experience or some of the other things that were just inherent to me growing up, I struggled through mental health through much of my adolescent and adult life. And those struggles were exacerbated by the stress and anxiety of the workplace in many respects, whether that workplace was the United States military or whether that workplace was right here at SHRM. No organization is perfect. And were it not for the kind, compassionate, and caring intervention by an HR professional whose first name is Gail, and I'll leave it at that, I don't know generally if I would be here today talking with you all. And I share that not to be gratuitous or to put the spotlight on me. I share that to show you how impactful the acts of one compassionate, caring, and capable HR professional can do. Now, mental health is a subject that's affecting so many these days. We know it from our own SHRM research. You all know it anecdotally in the organizations and in your own probably personal lives. 1 in 4 employees are feeling quote unquote down, and 41% feel burnt out. 1 in 3 really don't know what to do about it, and they don't feel empowered to do anything about the circumstances that they feel in, whether it's anxiety or whether it's depression or whether it's a clinical diagnosis of some other form of mental health challenge. We have a workforce that has been strained, and the impact of COVID-19 and the pandemic and the social injustices and all the other financial issues and concerns and the societal bombardment of information, whether it's what's going on in the Ukraine right now or other parts of the world, it's a lot for individuals to digest. And frankly, in the past, it was a lot for people to digest the information and the events that were taking place in the decades before in the workplace. But now we're very much aware of it. And one of the things that is going to be vital in the continuation of this facing the challenge of mental health in the workplace is the HR professional. Now, many may think and they may say that HR is in the business of compliance, and HR is responsible for providing and promoting awareness of resources to serve individuals who may face mental health or other physical or behavioral health challenges. And that is very true. That has not changed. But what we've seen, I believe, is a coming to a realization that HR pros and, of course, supervisors and hiring managers and people managers across all of our industries, they play such an impactful role in the prevention of some of the tragic outcomes that could occur in our workplace. And those outcomes could be something as scalable as an individual who just can never truly have the opportunity to serve within the workplace to their fullest capacity because of a mental health challenge. Or it could result in, tragically, an individual potentially taking their own life through suicide based upon the challenges that they're facing and the inability to truly reach out for help. And again, it is a very heavy topic, but I'm also inspired by what I'm seeing across our workforce. I'm inspired by what I'm seeing across our HR profession. And I'm inspired to see the collaboration that our SHRM Foundation has really led with in terms of creating the entire workplace mental health and wellness initiative. And for those of you who may not be aware of it, if you go to workplacementalhealth.com, you will see any number of different resources and tools that our SHRM Foundation has worked with an amazing organization called Psych Hub, whose CEO, Marjorie Morrison, is an incredibly impactful individual. Marjorie started almost, well, I won't say how many years ago, but let's just say it's been a few years, around about the 2005 period, where she created an organization called Psych Armor. And Psych Armor's goal was essentially to create a preemptive suite of resources to help service members, Marines in particular, when they're getting ready to go into combat, and help them be more resilient when that inevitable combat trauma may have been something that they face. And what we saw were incredible results from these resilience training, these preemptive resilience training resources and tools. Well, Marjorie took her knowledge as a lifelong practitioner in the psychology field, and she applied it to many different industries. And Psych Hub has really been a leader of helping educators support students, of helping industry support individuals. And now, through the collaboration of SHRM, the SHRM Foundation, and Psych Hub, we have the Mental Health Ally Certificate. And the Mental Health Ally Certificate is a suite of about 8 different resources, or I should say 8 different modules that talk about the foundations of mental health, that talk about effective communications when talking to employees about mental health, that talk about the signs and some of the early warnings of substance use, that talk about suicide and violence prevention, and that talk about diversity and bias and being aware of unconscious bias or conscious biases and microaggressions that occur in the workplace. All the things that can exacerbate one's mental health situation above and beyond all the other external forces that we face. We know one thing's for sure: the sense of belonging that people want to have in the workplace is a truly powerful tool. Without that sense of belonging, we know that individuals can feel isolated. We know that individuals can feel a lack of meaning, and we know that individuals can lose sight of ultimately their purpose in life. And what we want to ensure is that we treat people more than just employees, that we treat them as human beings, as individuals. And even if an individual isn't necessarily the right fit for an organization, we find them the resources and tools to help them on the road to recovery in their mental health journey. And by no means is that a linear path. I mentioned to you my own personal struggles with mental health, but you don't all of a sudden recover as if you would recover from ACL surgery or a back injury or maybe some other chronic illness. The reality is sometimes that path isn't linear, and sometimes you ultimately need to go back to the wellness practices and the mindfulness practices that got you into the place that you need to be. And what I could tell you is this: HR professionals play an incredibly important role in all of this. They ultimately can be the first line of defense for our employees. They can be the people that make an impact and a difference in the lives of the employees. Back in 2019, really, when I was struggling and I wasn't in the good place that I needed to be, beyond my diagnosis of post-traumatic stress and some of the physical challenges that I faced based upon some combat-related occurrences that occurred in the early 2000s, I was just not firing on all cylinders. I was losing sight of who I was as an individual, and ultimately my family was suffering because I was suffering because my relationships were suffering and my work was suffering. And I had an individual come to me, and she came to me proactively, and she sat down compassionately and empathetically and explained to me what it is that I needed to do to get healthy. Not what it was that I needed to do in terms of FMLA, not what it is that I needed to do to tap into an employee assistance program, not what it is that I needed to do in terms of compliance relative to my job. She said what it is that I needed to do as a human being to get and to stay healthy. And again, without that intervention, I don't know where I would be today. I don't know where my family would be today. And again, this isn't about me. This is about a human resources profession that provides so much to our workforce every single day. And with the right resources and tools, you all can be that much more impactful. And it's also not just about the altruism or the moral or ethical reasons why we should be that intervening force in supporting people. It's also about the bottom line and the impact, because we know for every $1 we spend on mental health awareness and training tools for those who can support our workforce, we know that we'll get a return of $3 to $5 on that. So not unlike the research for Alzheimer's, not unlike many other things in this life, if we're willing to spend the resource, if we're willing to dedicate ourselves to becoming empowered HR professionals in support of our workforce, not only can we make a difference in people's lives, we can impact the bottom line. Many of the veteran hiring programs that came to fruition in the early 2000s and to date were born of this altruistic sense of wanting to serve our veterans nations, our veterans of this nation. But what I'm willing to tell you is all veterans want to be the right person for the job, not the veteran that was given the job. Just like all HR professionals can help individuals in not just a compassionate way, but in a way that also supports the organization. And I'll leave you with this thought. A mantra that we used to have in the United States military was mission first, people always. And what that meant is we can accomplish a mission and support our women and men of the armed forces at the same time. We can do it in a mutually supportive way that helps and lifts everyone. I believe that's the mantra of good human resources professionals. And I know it's what makes them so impactful, so compassionate, and so empathetically willing to support our employees in their times of mental health needs. So with that, Guillermo, I'll turn it back over to you. And I want to thank you again for allowing me to take your time today.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Andrew, for being here. And, thank you for your service, obviously, not just at SHRM, but, for the military. A quick question for you, just as a quick follow-up here. Based on, maybe you can tell some of the attendees here, based on what we've seen out there, has SHRM or the businesses that we work with seen a shift in culture, as far as more holistic treatments for mental health in the workplace?
Yeah, I think we really have. I think the days of my employee punches in the morning and they punch out in the afternoon, and my expectation is that they do their job. Again, it goes back to the misuse of language that I did in the topic itself. If we expect people to bring work home, we have to expect people to bring home to work. And in many cases, work is not necessarily a physical location anymore. It's the whole construct of work. It's the 24/7 technology. And what we have seen, as I had mentioned before, we have seen those who invest in mental health support and training HR practitioners and supervisors to support employees as the first line of mental health defense. We've seen that impact and that return on impact. I'll share with you quickly, and this is in the profession of the medical field. Stephen Trzeziak is a researcher and physician, and he, along with his partner, Anthony Mazzarelli, they wrote a book called Compassionomics. Compassionomics is a book about how empathetic, compassionate treatment of patients in the medical space not only returns a better outcome for the patient themselves, physiologically and emotionally, it also returns on the bottom line for the hospital or the medical practice. And then the third, perhaps most startling result of all of it, it returns on a better outcome, a sense of happiness and a sense of fulfillment on the part of the physician themselves, spending more time with their patients. I can't prove this other than anecdotally, but I know that HR practitioners that get in their cars and drive home and know that they help point somebody in the right direction or their family in the right direction of the help that they need, I know that it has to fuel their desire and their sense of pride in what they do. And I believe that that's something that we can't really put a dollar sign on.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Andrew, for being here with us this evening. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Excellent. Well, we hope you enjoy this informative session and we're able to get some new insights. And mental health is certainly one of the big issues that the workplace is grappling with right now. But right now, it's time to move on to the pitch competition. So let's get ready to rumble here. As mentioned at the beginning, the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup is a pitch competition to find the innovators that are solving critical workplace challenges like mental health, as you just heard. This year's competition is actually expanding from last year. We're going global, and we will have competition rounds in the US, Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. This is the second of 10 first round segments of the competition. From this segment, the top 2 companies will be advancing to 2 semifinal rounds, and the top 2 companies from each semifinal round will advance to the finals, which will be held at SHRM's annual conference and exposition, the largest gathering of HR professionals. And this year, it's happening in New Orleans, so we hope you can join us. Oh, and by the way, happy Fat Tuesday to everyone, because it's Fat Tuesday today. So today you're going to be hearing from 7 very exciting startups. Each company is going to be providing a 3-minute pitch, and afterwards they will have a 3 Q&A session with our judges. The criteria that these startups are being judged on are as follows. Number 1, is this a business that will be able to grow to positively affect the lives and work of millions of employees? Number 2, is this a business that will create better workplaces where employers and employees thrive together? And that is very important because you have to have a balance between the 2 of them. And then finally, number 3, we're SHRM, you're HR professionals. So is this a business that will provide value to SHRM members and their companies by helping HR professionals become more efficient and strategic? Once the pitches are completed, the judges will deliberate and choose the top 2 companies that will move on to the finals. So for now, please help me in welcoming our judges for today. First up, we have Jennifer Singh, co-founder of The Understory. Welcome to the stage, Jennifer. Next up, a familiar face, Chris Cavalier, president of HR Tampa and partner and employment law attorney at Shoemaker, Loop & Kendrick. Welcome back, Chris. And then last but not least, one of our very own, Ann St. Martin, senior specialist of Express Request at SHRM's Knowledge Center. And if there's someone that knows HR, it is Ann. Make no mistake about it. So welcome to the stage judges, and thank you for joining us. So let's go ahead and get started here, and please welcome our first participant, Talk Me Up.
Hi, my name is JJ Su. I'm the founder and CEO of Talk Me Up. We are an AI-powered software company focused on workforce communication training. Effective workforce communication has been pivotal to business success. Every year, U.S. companies are spending billions of dollars trying to improve their workforce communications through sales enablement, customer success, leadership, and team communications training, etc. However, the traditional training methods are very limited. Conducted by human coaches, these training sessions are expensive, hard to scale, standardize, and to be objective. Moreover, the remote work era we're all living in right now brings more challenges to workplace communication, and a better training solution is desperately needed. Talk Me Up is the solution for the future of workplace communication training. With our proprietary AI solutions, we are empowering enterprise clients to uplift their workforce communications at scale, cost-effectively, and consistently. For every employee, Talk Me Up is a smart coach on their mobile devices. They can practice different critical conversation topics anywhere, anytime. Speaking to the camera, they can get instant feedback on their delivery and content. For managers, we offer measurable insights for them to manage their team's learning and development. They can share best practice, create courses, assign team and individual learning objectives. Talk Me Up's fully customizable and adaptive solutions help enterprises achieve better training consistency and transparency with significantly higher ROI. At a split of the cost, our clients are seeing 5 times better training results than those of traditional training. On average, our users are achieving over 20% monthly skill improvement and over 30% increase in business KPIs. Since incorporating in 2018, Talk Me Up has experienced fast growth. In 2021, we have achieved over $500,000 contracted revenue and have built a $9 million sales pipeline through a B2B approach. We've got direct sales to clients in financial services, media, and tech industries such as JP Morgan, Hearst, ESPN, etc. We are also powering our training partners such as DDI, BTS, eLearning Brothers through API integrations. Our goal for 2022 is to achieve $3 million in revenue and continue our growth in R&D. Meet our amazing leadership team. We're a team of passionate experts in business, R&D management, AI, design, and operations. We're currently open for fundraising. We're looking for $4 million to accelerate our growth on all fronts. If you're interested in investing in us, joining our team, or adopting TalkMeUp to upskill your own workforce communications, please reach out to me via jj@talkmeup.co.
Okay, excellent. Welcome to the stage, JJ.
Hi.
And for this, to kick us off, Jen, let's kick it over to you for the first question.
Thanks, JJ, for such a really great presentation. My question is about your catalog. Can you tell us how extensive it is, as well as how can it be customized? So for example, if I have a company and I want to train my sales team, can I teach them my key selling points, or is it more generic type skills?
Yeah, thank you, Jen, for the great question. So on our end, we did not invent the training methodology. It is the same methodology coaches and industry experts have been using for decades. It's called persuasive communication. So basically, it depends on your audience decision-making criteria, the coaches, and now we're using AI to automate the whole process. We're breaking down everybody's performance into a set of metrics around their delivery, around their content strategies. So for instance, your facial expression, especially, these days when everybody's living on Zoom, your gesture, your content structure, your storytelling strategies, your persuasive strategies, et cetera, your pacing, filler words, etc. And then in terms of customization, we don't want to teach our clients or especially HR heads how to train their team because they know their business better, right? So to your example, for instance, you want to train your team of sales reps on how to pitch, let's say, one specific product you're going to launch very soon. So in that case, we can basically in an automatic way to read your own standards. For instance, if they need to use certain type of choice of words to be positive, right? Or they should mention certain product features and benefits using certain structure, or given certain examples, success stories to be more convincing. So we can basically take your standard to be as the customer standard. So that when every rep of yours, when they practice, the feedback is given to them in a dynamic way to see where the gap is between your standard and their performance. So everybody can receive personalized feedback as they grow. In the meantime, you as the manager, you can have very detailed, quantifiable reading into everybody's progress, as well as the team overall. Yeah.
Okay. Next question over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Guillermo. Thanks, JJ. First of all, I think the whole idea of AI reading my face and telling me that I am obviously from a New York Italian family is fascinating to me. And I could talk to you about that for an hour. But my question is, and I think you kind of led into this perfectly, I can completely understand how this is potentially a transformative piece of technology for the sales industry. I totally get that. What I'm really interested in for this SHRM competition is how is this going to benefit the HR professional? If I'm an HR professional, how is this software or this program going to help me and my HR business partners?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me give you one example. For instance, ESPN, right? We're working with them how to train their audience-facing hosts, and that effort's been led by their HR, managers. So basically, one type of problem they have shared with us is, ESPN is a large organization, and a lot of, especially entry level or junior level employees, they have been complaining about receiving not enough resource to help them advance in their career. So in our case, we help the HR to basically scale up the training for everyone, especially, the new blood into the organization. In the meantime, if we're looking at, communication or soft skill training, before TalkMeUp or in a traditional way, HR heads, they cannot quantify the training results. So there's no actual control or monitor into the training ROI. Whether hiring one coach or 10 coach would make a difference to improve the employee satisfaction and improve the employee retention. They don't have the quantifiable idea on that. But with our tool, everything's quantifiable. And based on our customer experience, employees are happy, managers are happy, and of course, HR heads are happy. Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you.
Anne, last but not least, over to you.
Hi, JJ. Thank you so much. Jen and Chris kind of stole my main questions, but I do have another one. How does the AI avoid potential bias?
That's a great question. Yeah, so if we're thinking about like bias introduced by human coaches, that's like a lot, right? So in our on our end, we make sure the data we use to train our AI models is balanced. That means we include all types of people, different angles, different skin tone, different ages, different races, and under different lighting. Right now the lighting is not perfect, with or without glass, etc., to make sure we cover all types of potential scenarios so that we can give objective feedback. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, JJ. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Talk Me Up?
Yeah, welcome to our website, talkmeup.co. And you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly. That's jj@talkmeup.co.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's go to our second participant. Next up, we have Inclusive.
We need to talk. You and me and everyone at every level of the organizational ladder. Gone are the days of one-off town halls, ineffective trainings, and top-down engagement. It's time to shift the focus from monologue to dialogue, to bring diverse voices together for discussions on the issues that matter. Inclusive is an engagement solution that empowers people to have meaningful, change-making discussions. According to the World Economic Forum, shared dialogue is among the most effective tools we have for fostering inclusion. And if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that inclusion matters. Fostering inclusion through candid conversations is not only good for the soul, it's good for business. But it's easier said than done. Existing DEI programs often fall short, with a lack of peer-to-peer engagement and no accountability for follow-up action. The largely remote workforce has amplified challenges with creating a sense of belonging. HR leaders, DEI leaders, and people managers everywhere are stretching themselves thin trying to engage employees effectively. That's where we come in. The inclusive model is rooted in awareness, understanding, commitment, and action, leveraging the power of structured conversations to activate people towards real and lasting change. It's simple. One host, 3 big questions, equal time to share. Our conversation design process combines tried and true conversation psychology with thorough research and collaboration. Our growing conversation library tackles issues like diversity, equity and inclusion, sustainability, well-being, and more. With over 50 topics and 9 prepackaged series, Inclusive is your go-to resource for having crucial conversations. Curious about how to leverage the power of Inclusive? With a highly scalable model, we serve everyone from individuals to small businesses to nonprofits to large corporations. Our membership journeys make it easy for anyone around the world to join a conversation and experience the power of peer-to-peer dialogue. Our host training curriculum allows people leaders to learn the art of conversation and leave with the skills and confidence to host these discussions internally. Our private series empowers leaders with access to our extensive content library and the ease of events hosted by the Inclusive team. And our conversation platform allows for organizations of any size to manage their conversation programs and capture valuable insights, actions, and stories from participants. If you're looking to break down silos between leadership and employees, to manage diverse perspectives, and give everyone a role to play in facilitating culture change, then we're here to help. It's time that we talk. It's time to be inclusive.
All right, thanks for that presentation, Jen, and welcome to the stage. And for this round, Chris, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Sure. Nice to meet you, Jen. Great presentation. So my question revolves around my experience with the companies that I work with, my clients. My experience is that when my clients want to hire a DE&I trainer, they usually find someone that's local, that they have a relationship with, or that they trust, right? Someone with a reputation. What distinguishes the inclusive package from that? What would make a company like the ones that I'm aware of go with something like inclusive as opposed to going with a local trainer that they already know?
Great question, Chris, and lovely to meet you. So we actually partner directly with DEI consultants and use them as referral partners, because we know we're not trying to replace the importance of having a strategic advisor come in and help design a DEI program from scratch, especially now that companies are forming their DEI plans for the first time. So we are typically a partner of a DEI consultant, and we have several partnerships with the King Center, the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, and can bring trainings from those organizations to the employer or our customers, and work in tandem. Also, DEI consultants typically want to come in and provide hands-on strategy and advice, but when it comes to scaling these kinds of conversations, they really look for tools like Inclusive, and we are the only one of the conversation with the conversation content library that we have, that companies would have full access to everything on all the topics from not only DE&I, but also mental health, well-being, and even sustainability. And so we look to DEI consultants as partners, and we're typically brought in to help scale the work that they begin.
Great answer. Thank you.
Anne, over to you.
Hi, Jen. I love this this product, and I have two questions. One is just a quick yes or no. Can conversations be across multiple unrelated organizations?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And my other question is, beyond the number of participants, what other types of data analytics does your product provide to HR and companies?
Excellent question. So on the back end of the platform, we can track anything from registered guests to actual attendees to the specific actions that they take after the conversation. Oh. A big part of why I built Inclusive and why our team is so passionate about this is that it's more than just talk. It's about encouraging people to follow up and take committed actions afterwards. So we have a suite of tools from specific actions that we have curated that can be adopted by a company, or you can tailor your own actions, and each of those individual actions are tracked. Also, we have a storytelling feature that allows participants to really reflect on the power of the conversation. Since we're not recording the conversations for privacy purposes, we allow them to really reflect and internalize the impact of that conversation, and then share that either internally or publicly for public conversations that we've hosted among cities and regions. And then lastly, we have the connections feature, which we know that in the remote workplace, people are isolated. They are wanting to find meaningful connection with one another, and doing so through a topic can be an easy kind of icebreaker. So we allow people to be able to stay connected afterwards, and we can measure the number of connections made after a conversation.
Okay, thank you.
And last question over to you, Jen.
Hey, Jen. Love your platform, especially the opportunity to have, important and often uncomfortable conversations, which can be really difficult, especially within organizations. My question is about scale. So you mentioned that your tool really helps organizations scale these conversations. But if I think about an organization that's maybe 10,000 people, 20,000 people, and you're hosting conversations with maybe 10, 15, 20, how do we scale, and how does this really reach the greatest impact, and what kind of timeline would that take?
Great question, Jen, and great to see you, Atlanta fellow. It is such a great question. So our sweet spot is actually companies with 10,000 plus employees or more, because that's when they really want to engage everybody in these conversations, and how to do that at scale. So we do a few things. First, we tend to roll it out internally with having either senior leadership have a conversation first, And then we have our DEI councils typically have a conversation, private conversation first. Once they are bought on to the model and the concept and can see the impact, then we build out a plan, typically training either 50 or 250 of their internal team members, typically in a people leader role. And we train them, give them the skill sets that they need to be able to host these conversations confidently and comfortably, we leveraging the tools of conflict resolution and even nonviolent communication to give them that kind of confidence. And then lastly, we give them access to our platform or our content subscription model where they can host these internally off platform, meaning in actual conference rooms. And so they can embed this as a practice as part of their everyday engagement or their weekly check-ins or their monthly leadership meetings. It's been a really powerful tool to create that sense of belonging and to remind everyone that we are human beings when we come to work and to strengthen the relationships that we have. So we really empower leaders at every level of the organization to be able to have these conversations by training them, giving them the access to the content, and then the tools such as the platform to be able to follow up and measure the impact of these conversations.
All right. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jen. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Inclusive?
Excellent. Please find us on Inclusive with 2 V's for doubling down on peace. It's inclusive.co. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Jen Graham on LinkedIn. And I look forward to your message. We actually are, I forgot to mention, in the middle of fundraising. So if there are investors out there, we would love to talk. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring up our third participant, Lattice.
In a world where businesses are coming to terms with the demands of employee choice, solutions to improve workplace culture are crucial. Businesses of all sizes are doing everything they can to attract and retain top talent during this unprecedented time. Connection to the team, a sense of belonging, and a feeling of purpose rank high in the needs of today's work-from-anywhere society. Sound familiar? At Lattice, we understand the importance team building and positive employee-employer relationships have on the success of a workplace. Done well, top-down and peer-to-peer knowledge sharing can unlock new levels of productivity and profitability to create a culture of cohesive collaboration. Ongoing high-quality connections reduce burnout and mitigate mental health issues, more important now than ever with social isolation on the rise. Lattice is a tool to make internal employee engagement easier and much more impactful for the entire organization. Users are invited to customizable groups where they can create a personal profile with interests and areas of expertise to learn and to teach. Set availability for one-on-one conversations. It syncs with your calendar. Get matched and have video calls with a focus on growth and knowledge sharing. Lattice gives you conversation starters, tracks your notes for future engagements, and even lets you share an agenda in advance of your conversation. It's all about making the best use of everyone's time. Fewer tools means less frustration, which leads to more streamlined engagements. Lattice helps human resource teams make fact-based strategic decisions using unique metrics to execute and continuously improve employee onboarding, mentorship, 360 feedback, DEI efforts, internal cross-functional networking, remote culture enhancement, and succession planning, all in one intuitive platform. Lattice is a proven, secure workplace solution that is easy to implement for organizations of all sizes. So what are you waiting for? Let's Lattice.
All right, excellent presentation, Pete, and welcome to the stage for this round. Anne, you want to go ahead and get us going?
Hi, Pete. Similar to my question of Jen, what type of metrics are available for the HR department, such as how does HR ensure that people are receiving quality experiences?
Thanks, Ann. So if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. My background was in engineering and building robots for the Army. So quality was a huge piece of everything that we did, right? So we're going to have the conversation. And because everything takes place on Lattice, we can gather more than 100 metrics that we provide to those HR leaders on a weekly basis. So post conversation, there's a feedback rating. So I rate you, you rate me, so that we ensure that it was valuable. Those insights are shared just to the leadership. We're also going to understand who's talking to who. Has everybody engaged in a certain timeline that's set by the admins? So the metrics are customizable by each group. It'll also help you understand where you need to pull in more mentors, more mentees, and some of the people that might not have had a conversation in some of those topics of interest. So stay interviews, for example. Somebody's in this role over here, and but they're not interested in talking about any of those topics. We can work with the data to truly understand what these individuals are looking for. And we're adding new metrics every single week, I'd say.
Okay, thank you.
Jen, second question over to you.
Hey, Pete, nice to meet you. I can certainly see the benefit for employees, and I'm sure they're very bought into this platform. What sort of feedback do you get from managers, especially like line managers or mid-level managers? And do they see any roadblocks to productivity or support of their employees participating in these types of conversations?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. So the managers have been saying, where has this been? Why didn't I have this sooner? Now we can actually establish something of a remote culture whenever we're in this work from anywhere society. So now the managers have an easier way to track their one-on-ones with their employees. Now the managers have an easy way for employee onboarding, right? Somebody comes in, they say, hey, I want to make sure that you talk to every single individual on the team. I want to make sure that you talk to your split level manager, and then we're going to start doing a little bit of cross-functional networking so that you can meet individuals from across the organization. The manager says, hey, let's go ahead and do it. Lattice guides you through who to talk to, what to discuss, and kind of when to engage. It'll remind you over time. So the managers say, wow, this is making my life a lot easier. I don't have to be the middleman anymore. I don't have to be the middleman or the bottleneck walking around the office saying, hey, go in here and talk to this individual. Go talk to this individual. Think about your first day at work, right? You probably did an office tour, maybe you had a buddy or a mentor, but it's a little bit difficult to do that whenever we're not all in the office anymore. And the last piece of that is productivity. They said because of the collaboration, productivity has gone up.
Chris, over to you for the last question.
Sure. Nice to meet you, Pete. You might have answered part of it, but and I think Jen touched on it also. But so my concern here is, you hear from a lot of companies when they bring on a new payroll company, for example, and they're told this payroll solution has all of these features. And then you wind up hearing a year later that the company finds that only 5% of those features are actually being used. How does Lattice go about making sure that employees are actually engaging with the platform, that managers are actually engaging with the platform? Because if I'm a business owner, I'm probably not going to want to sign up with you guys unless I can get some assurance that this product is actually going to be used by my people.
So it's important that we start with why. So we get top-down buy-in, and if the leadership isn't all in on this effort, then it's not a good fit for Lattice. Whenever we do find that the leadership is bought in and the people are really looking for that connection, then it's a great fit. Lattice also has kind of your ongoing nudges and reminders, and we're building out some gamification as well. So again, this is part of your weekly routine, right? Replacing some of the one-on-ones that you already have today. A lot of organizations have a mentorship program in place, but they don't have a software that can structure it and track some of those engagements over time. So we're meeting these organizations where they are already and kind of streamlining those existing processes, taking steps that are usually involving 5 or 6 or 7 tools into one single tool. And so we have a kind of curated implementation process where we start off with leadership and get some buy-in there.
And then we go to an early adopter phase and curate some more success. And then we'll actually launch an internal marketing campaign with the organization so that people really understand why we're doing this, how it works, and answering the what's in it for me question. And they see some of their other peers succeeding and winning. And we couple that with our educational content and some of the workshops and presentations to ensure success over time. Because if the organizations aren't loving it and they're not winning, then that's not a win for us. We created this company to bring people together and create a world of work that works for all, right? I like that earlier.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Pete. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Lattice?
Yep, so lattice.com, lattus.com, and you can send me an email, pete@lattice.com, and reach out on LinkedIn as well. Excited to work with more people and hear more of your feedback.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring up our fourth participant, In Handbook.
Hi, we are the creators of In Handbook, a mobile app where employers can organize, distribute, update, and access policies and procedures anytime, anywhere. The workforce has changed forever, and the pandemic accelerated what we knew. In order to achieve sustainability, companies have to inject technology and automation at all levels. Knowledge is power, yet many employees lack information and feel disengaged. While most companies have an employee handbook, employees are not familiar with the content. Historically, the employee handbook has been perceived as a long, hard-to-navigate document, and additionally, most companies are going green. And what about those team members that work non-traditional hours, are on the field, deskless, and disconnected? In response to these issues, we developed In Handbook, an app that elevates communication and engagement by providing access to information 24/7, allowing HR professionals to turn their attention to other strategies. In Handbook automates the way information is gathered and delivered through three main features: interactive handbook, push notifications, and inquiry tiles. This is how it works. With the In Handbook app, finding policies and procedures has never been easier. Log in with your email and unique password. Click on the handbook icon and easily browse through the content. Not sure where to look? Type a word on the search feature to get results. You can also streamline inquiries or FAQs through customizable tiles. Need to send a reminder or share some good news? Our push notification feature will deliver a message you cannot miss, all within the palm of your hand. With the In Handbook, our business model consists of an annual subscription based on the size of the organization, customized integrations with large corporations, and strategic partnerships with HR software. Our target customers are mid to large size employers with remote, multi-unit, or global teams. If we apply our subscription model to a segment of a total addressable market of over 200 million, we can reach sales of 30 million over time. In a short-term projection, we predict that if we sell 100 subscriptions per year and achieve 80% renewals, we can reach sales of $500,000 in 3 years. In Handbook was approved by Google and Apple, making it accessible to iPhone and Android users. Technology and automation has disrupted the status quo, and core functions are getting automated. We need your help to launch our go-to-market digital marketing campaign and sell the app to companies all over the U.S. Join us on our mission of elevating employee communication and engagement with In Handbook. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Welcome to the stage and the competition, Elda and Jessica. And for this round, Jen, let's go back to you to kick us off.
Hi, Elda. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for your presentation. I'd like to dig in a little bit more about onboarding. So say I'm a company, I have an existing employee handbook. What does it take to get it into that content into your app? How much time is required on my end as an HR professional? And then what about changes in the future? So for example, if state or federal laws change or my policies change, how does that get managed over time?
Absolutely. Great question. So we made it as easy as possible for companies, not to be a burden on companies, right? So when somebody subscribes, a company subscribes, immediately they're going to get a manual with how to follow all the steps to get onboarded. So they're going to send us their employee handbook. We're going to migrate all the content. They don't have to do anything. We're going to do everything for them. We're going to create the sections, import their logo, and we have a client portal that is very easy to use where they can submit changes, updates, their list of employees, if they have any updates, and all of that is included in their annual subscription at no extra cost.
Excellent. Next question over to Chris.
Nice to meet you, Elda and Jessica. Nice presentation. So one of the things that breaks my heart as an employment lawyer is that I can't understand why my clients don't love handbooks as much as I do. But it is a real issue in the workplace. Is that, in my experience, the employee handbook is not typically one of the top priorities of the HR department, right? What's the call to action to your potential clients and customers? Why do they need to care about this? My second question, if you can get to it, is there any plan to scale this concept beyond just employee handbooks to automate other HR documents as well?
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for that question. To answer your question, and with the Great Resignation, employers cannot afford not to care anymore. When we created in Handbook, we did it because we understand the need to elevate communication and engagement through innovation. One of the reasons that there is such a gap and that this tool is so underutilized is because a lot of times it's not accessible. I think that there are a lot of tools that are created for those folks that are in an office, that have access to a computer, that have access to the HR department. But what about those employees that are on the field, that work non-traditional schedules, that work remotely, that are in a different time zone because they work in a different country? So within Handbook, we try to elevate the communication and engagement by thinking about all of the employees, not only those who have a computer in front of them. And like I said, it is imperative. A lot of the surveys nowadays reflect that employees feel disengaged. And as a result, and as I mentioned at the beginning, employees cannot afford not to care anymore. The second part of your question about scaling and utilizing in Handbook, not only for employee handbooks, but also to communicate other policies and procedures, and the answer is yes. Employers can use in Handbook not only to share and distribute policies and procedures that are included in the handbook, but they can also include any policy and procedure, any SOP. Also, there are a lot of employers that have an employee handbook in different languages. We are in Orlando, Florida, so there is a very large population of Spanish-speaking employees in here. So we're also able to serve that community as well.
And if I may add just quickly, Chris, we do HR, so we know the pains and aches. We deal with employee handbooks all the time. We create them, we update them, we answer questions for the employees. So we know the area really well, which is why we think that if we bring information to the front, right? Because the employee handbook everybody has an employee handbook, almost every company or every medium to large company. And the employee handbook is somewhere. It's somewhere. Either it's on an intranet or on the payroll software or even on a drawer, wherever it is somewhere. But what we're doing is we're taking information that should be, and it's important to every company, and bringing it to the light and having it accessible where you can't miss it.
Okay, one last quick question from Anne. Over to you.
Hi, ladies. Speaking of the internet, can the in-handbook app live on the employer's intranet so that the employer only needs to update it in one place, and the intranet is the master, so to speak, and then the app reflects those changes as well?
Yes, and that is a really good question. And the answer is yes, that is the goal. We understand that there's a lot of companies out there that may not be technologically advanced. They may be, still operating on status quo. But there are companies that are more developed, and the bigger the company, usually they have, their own IT departments with their intranets, and most likely they're not going to want to add an app to their offering, right? So we're definitely looking into ways to do that, right? To integrate our software into other more developed softwares that a company may have developed for internally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Helda and Jessica. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about InHandbook?
Absolutely. You can find us on our website, inhandbook.com, www.inhandbook.com, and you can send us an email right there. The email is support@inhandbook.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring up our fifth participant, Curricula.
Hi, everyone. Nick Santora, founder and CEO at Curricula. And thanks for letting us join the SHRM Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. So what is Curricula and what do we do? Think of the last time you had to give out a boring annual death by PowerPoint training for your employees to meet some kind of compliance or security standards. Everyone's doing it, and if you're not, you're being forced to, and if you do, your employees probably hate it. This is normal. This is what's happening in the world. So essentially, Curricula is here to flip the script on that conversation and to make learning about cybersecurity fun for every employee from day one. Our goal is to bring a security culture together for every organization around the globe. And the way we do that is through stories. Our platform's designed with heroes and villains and stories that all live to narrate a story about how an employee could get hacked and what they can do to defend themselves. Now, you may be asking yourself, I'm an HR professional. What do I care about this? Well, you have to. Employee security and training is part of onboarding, and it's part of an ever-growing online security culture, especially with remote work in this situation. So back in November of 2021, Curricula launched a free plan so that every small business can have a security awareness program at no cost. Our platform gives you access to all the basic tools that every organization needs with a bunch of our content for trainings about cybersecurity. It lets you build your own custom content using our in-app custom content creator. It also includes a phishing simulator. So it lets you build fake simulated phishing events to try to trick your employees into getting hacked in a safe space. And that's designed to learn from what could happen in a real-life scenario in a candy-coated safe environment that we created, all specially narrated by our little character named Dee Dee. She's a 5-year-old villain hacker that lives inside of our episodes. She's kind of the face of Curricula, and employees get to meet her, hopefully not, in our phishing simulator. But the ultimate goal of what we're working on is to positively affect the lives and work of millions of people across the globe. And we're doing that so far. We're on track. We're trying to build trust amongst employers and employees to not only trust the security controls being put in place, but to make online learning fun. It shouldn't be boring, and we shouldn't be doing what we're typically used to in LMS environments where we're being forced into compliance. We should embrace security, embrace training, and embrace the tools that our HR professionals are using and tell a story to our employees. As far as traction with Curricula, we're private equity backed with thousands of customers behind our name, some of the biggest logos and brands in the world, 17, 18 employees and growing, and we closed a small $3 million Series A round about 2 years ago. Other than that, I want you to check out an episode of Curricula and see for yourself. Enjoy learning, and thank you for having us to the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. Hello. Can't hear you, Guillermo.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I was on mute. So for this round, well, Nick, welcome to the stage. Sorry about that. And Chris, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Sure. Nice to meet you, Nick. Congrats on your success so far. So at my law firm just a couple weeks ago, I was asked, or rather told, to complete my cybersecurity training. And I watched some videos and I took a short test afterward. I'm going to assume that the company that did that cybersecurity training is probably not the only company in the space. I'm going to assume that there are other competitors in the space. So my basic question for you, Nick, is, what makes you different from your competitors?
Yeah. So 2 answers there. One is Curricula is free for every SMB to use, up to 1,000 employees at no cost. So it's self-service. You don't need to talk to anyone, sign up and get going. And you have access to all the tools I talked about. But the biggest reason everyone comes to us, it's easy to use for an SMB. You don't need to be an expert in cyber to figure out how to do this. And more importantly, it's the content. Our training content is built by an in-house animation studio that we created to basically bring these stories to life. And that is the major difference of what makes employees actually resonate with the content and apply those learning concepts to the real world versus just going through the PowerPoint, clicking next and getting the check the box for compliance.
Thanks.
Anne, next question over to you.
Hi, Nick. Do you have data on how your product has helped your clients reduce the number of employee initiated security incidents?
Lots of data, not only inside the app, which is private to every organization that uses it, but we have some publicized case studies on our website. Specifically, when you use our phishing simulator, it actually simulates a real life phishing attack towards your organization to employees' mailboxes in the real world. If you look at one of our case studies, a pretty big utility out in Midwest basically went from a 32% click rate, which is not a good thing, good in the marketing world, not good in the phishing world, down to a 3% click rate. This doesn't happen overnight, but this is essentially the story that we've told thousands of times with organizations across the world to figure out how to get that phishing number to go down and diminish to less than 5%.
Okay, thank you.
And last question over to you, Jen.
Hey, Nick. So fraudsters are very smart and they're very sophisticated and they're constantly changing their tactics. So how do you keep up with that pace of change when it comes to your content? And then also, do you customize for specific industries as well as functional areas? So for example, people in the finance function often get hit with different types of phishing attempts than others. And can organizations be specific around that?
Yep. They're actually not as clever as we think. I spent 7 years working for the federal government, protecting our power grid in North America, doing this work, and this is where Curricula is born from. Most of this happens through a phishing attack. About 50% of all of these incidents happen through a phishing attack. So really what we're trying to advocate for is don't click things. And if we did that, we would actually lower our insurance claims and everything else that comes with it, which is what our mission is all about. As far as customization, I mentioned that our app actually includes a custom content creator. So anyone could go in there and make content on anything they want. So they can add quizzes, upload videos. We translate all of that content instantly to other languages on the fly in the app. And all of that is tracked inside of our LMS dashboard. But as far as the content that we create, we're experts in cybersecurity. So we cover every topic that every single employee that works at every single organization needs to know about, but also includes some of the other stuff. SOC 2, when that comes up, compliance for GDPR, PCI, all of these other things that is an absolute requirement. We build those for everyone. Everything else is up to your imagination to create your own story.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nick. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Curricula?
You can visit www.curricula.com and sign up for your free account for up to 1,000 employees at no cost.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. All right, let's go on to our sixth participant, Automation Works.
Hi, I am Ida Birdhill, CEO of Automation Works, and we are speeding digital talent reskilling. The Great Resignation should have been named the Great Upgrade, particularly as the Wall Street Journal has reported that the individuals who are quitting their jobs are frontliners, women and people of color, who are looking for higher wages and a direct career development path. Nonetheless, HR leaders are afraid to invest money to reskill frontliners for jobs requiring a post-secondary credential and specifically in technology. And they should be. Right now, it costs $24,500 to reskill each person for a technology career. And given the fact that frontliners have had poor success in post-secondary, HR leaders are afraid to move forward, and they should. Because right now, 62% of African-American post-secondary learners have dropped out of post-secondary. And that number, while it is astronomical, is nothing compared to the 89% of first-generation learners across all cultures who are dropping out of post-secondary training as well. Automation Works provides certification training to prepare frontliners for careers in network engineering, cybersecurity, and software development. We have created a tech training readiness tool by the name of the Life Culture Audit. We have been utilizing the Life Culture Audit workshop since 2017 to assess individuals' coding ability, vision, and life goals to determine their grit and motivation to complete post-secondary tech training. In essence, we're able to predict whether they will finish. Our success has attracted the largest educational content provider in the world, Pearson, to assist us in the app conversion. Here is our success. We've had a 75% learner completion rate. Our average salary has increased for our students to $67,250 from the $32,000 where a lot of them start. But what excites us is to see one of our learners like Miranda say, I have never completed any post-secondary training up till now, and she's tried 3 or 4 different programs. But what is the most exhilarating is that our success has transitioned into financial success. We have gone from $89,000 in revenue in 2020 to $631,000 in 2021, achieving a 6 times revenue growth by serving corporate and institutional clients that you see here. Our team is going to make the conversion in conjunction with Pearson. And we are so excited because we believe that we can grab a large share of the $332 billion corporate training market to serve human resources departments across the United States of America. And we have projected that our revenue will grow to $308 million as we serve these HR departments be able to reduce their talent shortage by reskilling their frontline workers for tech positions.
Welcome to the stage, Ida, and thank you so much for that presentation. I hear an echo in the background. So for this round, Anne, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yes. Hi, Ida. Thank you. I'm intrigued with your service. My main question is, do you have plans to expand beyond technology careers, such as perhaps HR?
Actually, we do. We're actually going to eventually expand into sales, and then we will work our way around back to HR and other functions that frontliners can move into. But our core is technology, because that's where we're hearing a lot of the tech shortage is happening across most companies, is in the technology arena, whether it's in pure technology or whether it's in HR technology.
Thank you.
Jen, second question over to you.
Hi, Ida.
Hello.
I'm also really intrigued by your life culture audit piece of your platform. And so I'm curious, do you offer that as its own service, or is it coupled with the training? And then secondly, is the life culture audit only available for specific segments or geared towards specific segments, or can it apply to a general population?
Actually, those are 2 great questions. The first question is that initially when we created the life culture audit, because we've been in that process for about 15 years and testing it, it was as a part of a training program. But in 2020, when the protests broke out as it relates to George Floyd, we pulled that piece of that product and made it separate and offered it to corporations. We were excited because one of the corporations that we actually offered it for tied it into diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And we were able to blow that through their corporation and be able to help them hire more people of color that they basically needed because of some changes that some of their executives and middle managers need to make. Secondly, we do plan to expand the actual life culture audit, because right now it is in a workshop mode, into an actual mobile app. We're in the middle of designing the app right now, and we reached out to Pearson because Pearson is known for assessment tools. They do a lot of assessment tools across kindergarten through training in corporations and post-secondary. And we're going to move that function into an app that can be used by anyone, K through 12, post-secondary, corporations, HR departments, can use for onboarding, can be used for career development internally. But our full focus was mainly initially frontliners, because the Great Resignation is hurting us all, and we're in pain as we watch them move from one place to the next. And many of them are leaving because they don't have a career development path. And so we figured that would help and be able to slow down that quitting and be able to shorten the talent shortage.
Excellent. And last question over to you, Chris.
Nice to meet you, Ida. Great presentation. And actually, my question was on the life culture audit as well. I think that that's a really, really interesting piece there. And I want to delve into it just a little bit more if you'd humor me. So I'm a business owner or an HR manager. How can I use that life culture audit? What practical effects would that have if I found out that a frontline worker is, likely to complete post-secondary training?
The first way you would use it is most people do not realize, particularly when you're at a certain level in America, it is not happy to dream. If you're a frontline worker, you're in a life struggle every day, and you don't really think imaginatively about your life. And so that's why you stay as a frontline worker. So what the life culture audit does initially is exposes them to skill sets in the technology so that they can see that they have the probability and problem solving to be able to solve coding and tech issues. Because most people assume that in order to go into the tech world, they have to be this wizard, or they have to have a bachelor's degree, which you don't have to be either. You just have to have great problem solving skills. The second thing that the life culture audit does is it asks people about their goals. What do you want to see in your life, in your life vision? How do you want to live? What goals do you have for yourself? Because you would be amazed at how many people really don't have any goals. They're really living from day to day, from paycheck to paycheck. And they've never thought about what I'm going to do a year from now, what I'm going to do 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. And that includes not only the lifestyle they're living, but even the career that they're going to embrace. So it helps them make those goals and lay out a vision. The last thing that it does is it helps them look at what barriers and obstacles am I going to face? Because whenever you have visions and goals, you are going to have barriers. And if you help them walk through what those barriers are going to be, then now they know how to handle those barriers and be able to achieve their goals. So what it does is it focuses the potential employee on where they're going. Now you can help them develop a career path because you have some idea where their life is going. They have some idea where their life is going, and then what barriers they're facing today and in the future that can impede them from getting to where they want to go.
Guillermo, can I just ask one more quick question really quickly, Ida? Do you have any plans to scale this life culture audit in the job application process or even maybe in high schools?
Oh my God, I would love to. And I have to laugh because the life culture audit started in a high school. I run a nonprofit prior to opening this company and had the ability to pilot a high school for the Detroit Public Schools here in the city of Detroit. And it was one of the first alternative high schools in the cyber arena. And one of the things that why we started it is because I'm dealing with high school dropouts who were also drug dealers. So they were not interested in school. That's why they dropped out. And so we started the process with them of focusing on where are you going? If you were in an ideal world and money was not an issue, where are you going to go? And you'd be amazed at the vision boards that they created because they do have a vision. They just have no idea how to get there. And once we were able to see their vision, we walked them backwards in setting their goals of how you're going to get to your vision. But I'm going to tell you what was interesting. All of a sudden, I have students who don't want to come to school, and now I have an attendance rate of 96%. I have students who had mostly E's and D's, so their average GPA was 0.5%, and now all of a sudden they're at 2.8%. So we know that it makes changes, it moves people. The last thing that we noticed, we hardly had any suspensions from our campus because people were engaged and they wanted to be in the building, and they were able to graduate from high school. Of the graduates, 100% matriculated to post-secondary and finished. So some went into college, a few went into apprenticeships in construction, and then a few went into associate programs. So we know it works. But what we know that we've learned, even with adults, the person that we showed as a highlight was Miranda. And I use her as a highlight because Miranda came from a family where her father was a felon. She also had a mother who abandoned her and left her with her grandparents. She struggled through high school. She then attempts to do post-secondary and just cannot get it together. So she was a frontliner in the restaurant world. But in her mind, she always dreamed to be a tech person. So she went to 3 or 4 programs, never finished. She came to us. We utilized a life culture audit, laid out where her vision is going to be, and then walked her backwards and say, okay, these are the things that you're going to need to do to get to that vision. What obstacles do you see? And then when she gave us the obstacles, we programmed so she could see them. And then we just walked through the obstacles. So yes, we could see it working in high schools. We could see it working in HR. We could see it working for governments. We could even see it working in prisons. Because once people know where they're going and what they want to do, it's easy to get them there. But if they have no idea where they're going, you're never going to get them there.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your presentation, Ida. That was very, very interesting, I must say. And so while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Automation Works?
We're located at AutoWorks, and that's AUTOWORKZ.org.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's move on to our 7th and final participant for this evening, Connect 4.
Hi, I'm Danielle, the founder and CEO of Connect 4. Modern work isn't working, especially for the diverse, rising generation of talent. Like it or not, there's an existential reckoning with modern work based on a growing emotional gap between what we want from our work and the day-to-day experience of our work. And at the heart of this emotional gap is a huge deficit of enthusiasm. This deficit is thwarting our collective performance and killing our collective spirit. The rising generation of knowledge workers is asking tough questions about the trade-offs between current work environments and their own growth, happiness, health, and well-being. This generation is enthusiastic about their work. They just rightly expect that in exchange for their commitment, time, and passion, work feeds their hearts, minds, and ambitions, not just their pockets. But the stark reality is that we are all flying blind. Modern people-first leaders lack the insights and understanding of what makes people and teams come alive in any given moment. This is because enthusiasm, which encompasses people's interests, passions, and motivations, is dynamic, forward-looking, and therefore hard to assess. But modern employees are also flying blind on how to lean in, opt in, and advocate for what would interest them and motivate them at work. This is because the only way to convey what they want requires continually speaking up in a safe work environment, a feat even the best leaders struggle to achieve. Connect 4 exists to rekindle the love and enthusiasm for work, so modern leaders can turn every project into a passion project, and diverse modern employees can go all in with their whole selves to the work in front of them. So how does it work? We start with deeper insights by mapping the right team member to the right project based on the project's topics and the team member's self-reported interests. Team members can raise their hands for opportunities, effectively eliminating leaders and employees' blind spots. We enable deeper understanding of every team member by showing managers how aligned each individual is with their work in real time, without surveys. These lead to deeper impact when leaders take immediate action to find projects that their team member is enthusiastic about. Because enthusiasm is the untapped performance and happiness superpower that we're all longing for. And now we can finally access it, changing work into a labor of love for everyone. Thank you.
All right. Excellent presentation, Danielle, and welcome to the stage. And for this final round, let's go back to Jen. You want to kick us off?
Hey, Danielle, thank you. My question is around the type of work that you can support. So clearly this is really powerful for project-based work. Can you extend it to any work that's, more routine, maybe not as project-based? And then what if there's more projects, so like a surplus of projects, and not enough employees who have an interest in those projects? How do you maintain that with the employer?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Jen, for your question, and thanks for having me. So this was actually partly born out of my own experience working, and I was not doing project-based work. I started my career in research before I pivoted into UX and product. So I worked, with routine tasks every day, but we use project pretty loosely. While someone might have, their day-to-day tasks as a knowledge worker, they still have, different items that come up from different teams, right? So from their own managers that you need to do this, that little task we classify as a project. So it's anything from a task all the way even to a job the platform can be used for. So that to answer your first question. And then your second question, remind me, is around, can you remind me one more time the second question?
Just around if there's more projects than people interested in them.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So when people start work, they choose a job that they're really enthusiastic about. They go in intrinsically motivated. They are wanting to be there, right? They want to do a good job. And part of the problem is that work switches when we get there from being intrinsically motivated to extrinsically motivated. We expect all of our team members to want to work for a promotion, for a raise. And so we actually have found that when leaders think that there is not enough talent to do the projects, the talent is there within the organizations. They just don't know about it. And that's the blind spots that I was talking about in the presentation. And so we eliminate that. We unlock the ability to see what everyone is interested in. And so it might not be the person you thought. And that's really powerful because it could also be someone who is currently on a different team. I like to tell the story of someone who is working in strategy, who actually had a background in data science from his previous company. And his current manager had no idea. And he was sitting there saying, like, I have some time. I would love to be helping out the data science team. And he couldn't. He had no idea where to turn. And the company was missing out and this employee was missing out. And so we would be able to surface that.
Excellent. Next question over to you, Chris.
Nice to meet you, Danielle. How do you get employees to not just buy into this, because it is super cool, but to remain invested in this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were first exploring the idea, I put my research hat on, and I actually set the idea aside, and I talked to over 50 employees across all types of organizations and all types of roles, and asked them a fundamental question, which was, how did you know when you were unhappy at work? Not about the day you decided to quit your job, but tell me about the day where you realized you needed to make a change. And they all described the exact same path. They said, I woke up, it was harder to get up. And I realized it had been harder to get up to go to work for a few days, a few weeks at that point. And so I thought about speaking up to my manager in our next one-on-one. I tried to look on the internal database for any projects that were interesting, but the internal database didn't have projects. They only had open job roles. I didn't really want to leave my job. I just wanted to be more interested in my work. I tried to find other people I could trust in the organization to talk to try to learn what they were working on. And so in terms of how to keep people engaged, they're already trying to do this. They just don't have the platform to do it in, and that's what we've solved. So team members are actually really excited when they say, oh my God, I can finally go in and add my interests. I tell a story about one of my team members, Alex, who's Chinese, and he said, in my culture, I would never speak up to my manager. That is not, what I believe. That's not what I was raised for. And instead of creating a way for Alex to speak up, we expect him to be American, and we expect him to just say what he wants. And he was really excited to join our team because he finally had a way to share what he wanted without having to confront, as he saw it, his manager. And so they're really excited by the platform, and we don't have to do any work actually to get them to buy in. They jump right in, and then they stay engaged with it.
Excellent. And last question over to you, Anne.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you. And I'm intrigued with this product. Do your clients have challenges with managers who may not want to place an employee on a project if the employee has the interest but maybe not the background or experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do bring skill level into the equation. Team members can select between 3 skill levels, and it's shadow, collaborate, and drive. So shadow indicates that they want to learn more. Collaborate is, I have some experience with this, but I'm not an expert. And then drive is, I can lead this project. I know what, I've done this many times. So we actually start to close knowledge gaps that exist, because that was something that managers told us in our original research, is that I would love to bring other talent, younger talent, diverse talent in, but I always tap the same person because they know how to do it. And they didn't have a way to start to close those knowledge gaps and bring in other talent. And so we've created that platform for them. So they can actually add the person who's a shadow and the person who's a drive. So the shadow can start to learn. And then it actually starts to alleviate pressure off of the people who always get tapped. Because just because someone always does the project doesn't mean they want to. And so what was actually happening is these managers were burning out their team member without knowing it. And then they had these team members who were like, I want to do this, and not being given the opportunity. And they said, well, how am I supposed to learn it if I'm never given the opportunity? So that's where we bring in skill level. And then the hand raise also, as the demo showed, also has its own skill level, so that team members can raise their hand for something that maybe isn't in their top 5 interests, but they had a conversation, they saw it come up, they can raise their hand with a skill level for that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Danielle. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Connect4?
Yeah, thank you. You can go to meetconnect4.com, or you can email us at info@meetconnect4.com as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Believe it or not, that actually completes all the pitches for this round. So let's give our competitors a round of applause. They were all great. So the judges will now deliberate on the pitches that you just saw. We're going to step off for a second and go into a separate Zoom a meeting that we have set up. But while the judges are deliberating, we hope you enjoy some great information that we have to share with you. And please also visit the Knowledge Center virtual booth, which we have set up, which will provide great information on this benefit that SHRM members have access to. So we will be back shortly with you with the decision in about 10 minutes or so. All right, stay tuned.
We are standing on the precipice of a new future. Never before have so many workplace challenges been present. But with each challenge comes opportunity. A chance to disrupt what was and create what will be. Now, more than ever, the time is now for HR to lead workplace innovation. And innovation is the key reason why SHRM launched the first ever Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. Earlier this year, we put out a call for workplace innovators solving the most pressing workplace challenges. Over 150 teams of entrepreneurs answered the call and competed in 17 local rounds that were co-hosted with SHRM chapters nationwide. Judge panels made up of SHRM volunteers selected the top 3 pitches from each local round to advance to the regional semifinals. The 5 regional winners competed in the finals event held at this year's annual conference.
Innovation, at the end of the day, is critical if we intend to reset, rethink, reimagine HR. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Damon John.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being in HR.
From all of these impressive presentations, only 2 innovators remain.
The 2 finalists will be Simba, and the next one is Compt.
And the winner of SHRM's 2021
and first ever Better Workplaces Challenge Cup is...
Pumped! Oh my God!
We work. That's what we do.
We get up and get at it because our work defines us.
What do I aspire to be?
This is my break, what I've been working so hard for.
I have big dreams for myself. I know what I want for my career and my family.
I want to know that what I do matters.
I want to be better than I was yesterday.
It's a small business, but my employees and their families rely on us to succeed.
Beyond our sense of self.
Our work is life.
It's entry level, but I'm going to prove I have something to offer.
This is my chance to build a career.
So close to that down payment.
These college fees are stacking up. Gotta ask for that raise.
I have to start putting more aside for retirement.
As HR professionals, we impact all of this.
What we do matters.
SHRM is an organization that represents some 300,000 HR professionals across the globe. But most importantly, we touch and affect, influence the lives of 100 million workers every day. You can't find a CEO today who is not talking about people and people issues.
And what we're for is safe and dignified workplaces for everyone.
Every profession.
Every day.
All around the world.
HR is there.
My work gives me confidence.
My work gives me hope. I can provide for my family.
My kids will have things I never had. I enjoy giving back to my community.
I have a sense of my own value.
I am finally an expert at something.
I want to instill a work ethic in my kids.
Take care of my folks.
I want to make a contribution to this world.
I love HR.
It's the most human profession.
My work gives me purpose.
My role in HR gives me pride.
HR matters.
HR is an opportunity to change lives.
What kind of world
will you create?
In one of the most challenging years our businesses have ever witnessed, SHRM Research was there every step to answer your toughest workplace questions. This was possible because SHRM members like you provided real-time insights to our team of researchers. We wanted to take time to share some of our more surprising and noteworthy findings from this year.
COVID has had a devastating impact on businesses across the U.S., particularly small businesses, but many have proven resilient. SHRM research found that over 2 in 5 small businesses had started rethinking the way they do business, and a third had found a new way of delivering existing services due to COVID.
Over 1/3 of American workers reported that they don't feel comfortable discussing race at work. This perception differs along racial lines, with 45% of Black workers saying their workplace discourages discussions of racial injustice issues at work, compared to just 30% of white workers. Interestingly, 70% of HR professionals we interviewed said these discussions are okay at work. This is an opportunity for HR professionals and organizational leaders to guide employees to have thoughtful, civil, and respectful conversations about race and create workplaces where everyone feels included and can express their points of view.
Some of the benefits that employers adopted during COVID-19 might be here to stay. Over 2/3 of organizations, 68%, said they would probably or definitely adopt broader or more flexible work-from-home policies for all workers following the pandemic.
So much of this timely body of research wouldn't be possible without our members who share their everyday lived experiences at work. By participating in future studies, you can continue to help SHRM answer the most pressing questions that impact work, workers, and workplaces across the globe. Together, we can achieve our mission to create better workplaces for a better world.
Now that she's a manager, she's wondering, exactly how do I manage? She'll acquire the skills and confidence she needs with PMQ from SHRM, a self-paced, interactive, and entertaining learning journey. In every binge-worthy episode, managers face challenges, see the impact of their decisions, and test their growing skills with gamified assessments. Perform well, and they can earn the PMQ. Better managers create better workplaces. Pre-order SHRM's new People Manager qualification now.
All right, and we are back. All right, so once again, judges, let's give a hand to all these great companies that competed today. As mentioned at the beginning, 2 of them are the ones that are going to be moving forward and will compete in the semifinals of the 2022 Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. So let's get right to it. The top 2 companies for this segment are Inclusive and Automation Works. So major congrats to Inclusive and Automation Works, and we look forward to your participation in the semifinals. Judges, any words you'd like to say to our winners? Jen, starting off first with you.
I just want to say congrats to our winners. I think both of these companies are truly transformational and really have the opportunity to drive impact, large impact for employees, HR professionals, and really entire organizations. So good luck to you and wish you all the best as you go forward to the finals.
Chris?
Congratulations to the 2 winners and congratulations to everybody who participated. It takes a lot of guts, not just to start a business, but to get up in front of the public and pitch it. And, you know, my hat is off to all of you. So congratulations to all of you.
Okay. And Anne, last but not least.
Yes, congratulations everyone. As Chris said, all of your presentations just made me re-excited to be an HR professional today. So thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Excellent. Thank you, judges. Thank you to all the participants, and thank you out there for attending. Once again, please note that this event qualifies for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification, and the code to use is 22TTH, C as in cat, H, and we're going to be displaying that code in a second. Also, please note that next up is going to be our 3rd first round segment, which is going to be on Tuesday, March 8th. As already mentioned, the top 2 companies from that one are also going to be moving over into the semifinals. And then the top 2 companies from each semifinal, we're actually going to have 2 semifinals this year, are going to be moving to the finals at the SHRM Annual Conference and Exposition, which this year is going to be June 12th through the 15th in New Orleans. And we really hope you're able to make it there. Please visit betterworkplaceschallengecup.com to stay informed and register for our future events. And we really hope you can join us. But for now, thank you once again for attending and have a great evening, everyone. See you soon.